Okay, I've mentioned this written procedure thing. We've kind of beat this one up. I told you it's the #1 cited standard out of the heat regulation. And then the next one's water, the next one's shade. But by far, the written procedures are the #1. As long as they are effective, your heat illness prevention procedures can be integrated into your IIPP. But here's a glitch. Legally, your IIPP does not have to be at the site. If you're a non-fixed site, for instance, okay? But your heat illness prevention procedures should be near enough by that if a Cal OSHA enforcement person asks for them, that they could be produced during the inspection, okay? So usually the IIPP, they'll ask you for that, but they will actually take that even post-inspection, the written injury and illness prevention program. So if you do incorporate them into your IIPP, remember that then the IIPP would need to be available, okay? Maintain the procedures on site or close to the site so they can be made available to representatives. We just mentioned that. And here we are. It's all those same elements again, right? Going to be in your written procedures. Our model program or model written procedures will prompt you to fill in the blanks, right? I know State Fund has a model program, right? Where's Curtis? Is he here? He's gone. Anyway, I know, there he is, Curtis. You have a model program for heat illness prevention, right? So, you know, you've got a number of different sort of resources available to you that way. But here are those elements again: water, shade, monitor the weather, high heat procedures, climatization, training, being prepared for an emergency, right? And then providing clear and precise directions to the site. By the way, this whole emergency thing, being ready for an emergency, right? Heat is not the only emergency that can occur out there, right? Someone can break a bone, someone can have a laceration, someone can get bunked on the head. I mean, there are all kinds of things that can happen. So this really shouldn't be new and different for you. You should have always been prepared for an emergency. Heat's just one of those things that can happen out there. Okay, so here's your enforcement part of this, right? You risk a serious citation if the outdoor temperature in the work area exceeds 85 degrees and these required elements are not present at the site: drinking water, shade, training, and being prepared for an emergency. Okay? So what does a serious citation start out at, calculation-wise? Money. 18. I hear Brad over here saying 18,000. Okay, that's right. And there are ways of actually, there's a penalty calculation that Cal OSHA uses. There are credits that can be given, and then there are situations where they can actually add to that penalty. But a serious citation for one serious violation and a serious citation, the penalty calculation starts out at $18,000. Okay? Now let me just also mention while we're talking about that, that if it's a complaint kind of inspection, you can get a lot more credits for that $18,000 penalty, right? They can whittle that down quite a bit. But in the event they come out and they're investigating a heat illness, or there's some sort of an injury, something that had to be reported to them that they're going to investigate as an accident sort of investigation or illness investigation or a fatality kind of situation, the only credit you can get off that $18,000 is for the size of your company, okay? So all of a sudden the price of poker goes way up if it's accident related versus non-accident related, okay? Imminent hazard, this is what they call an OPU. And an OPU, that's a fancy term for order to prohibit use. This is where Cal OSHA can come in and shut the job down. They can stop the work, okay? Because they feel that there's such a danger that's imminent that if people continue to work, that somebody could, you know, seriously get injured, die, or get really, really sick. And in this case, we're talking about heat, so really, really sick, okay? So you may also risk this order to prohibit use, a serious citation. So this order to prohibit use is not a citation. There's not a monetary penalty associated with that. It's just the stoppage of work. And you can't start working again unless what they gave you the OPU for is corrected, okay? So the circumstances here is the temperature is greater than or equal to 95 and there's no water, shade, training, or emergency procedures, or it's greater than 85 and there's a heat wave, heavy workload, or other critical factors, maybe some unusual clothing, some other heat burden, but something unusual, okay? So there have been cases, early this year down in the southern valleys, Coachella Imperial, where there's been some OPUs. Last year there were some OPUs where they've stopped work. So if the case was there wasn't water out there, once the employer gets the adequate water out there, the work can start. That doesn't mean they're not going to get a citation for not having the water out there, right? That just means the OPU comes off, and now they'll get the serious citation for over and above for just not having the water out there in the first place, okay? All right, so the OPU shuts down the operation. People can't work, right, until the employer can demonstrate the imminent hazard's been corrected. Okay, so this is what our main heat page looks like for at our website. Okay, also there is another website, the 99calor.org, where there are a number of other resources, part of the heat campaign through the Department of Industrial Relations. Okay, so there are plenty of materials available to you. The consultation service that I work for, I mentioned it's a free and confidential service. We can, if you request our service, we can come out on site. We can evaluate your injury and illness prevention program, and we're going to do that as a matter of course. And 5 years worth of losses we look at normally for each case when we come out on site. But if you wanted us to look at your heat procedures, we'd look at that, but we're going to do what I suggested to you. We're going to look at your procedures, we're going to talk to employees, so we're going to look at the effectiveness of the program. Okay? We can do a hazard assessment to look for physical hazards at a work site, unsafe behaviors. So we can, you set the scope of what you want us to do in terms of, what you want us to look at the facility. Some employers want us to look at, the entire site. Some want us to just look at one piece of equipment. But at a minimum, we got to look at the injury and illness prevention program and 5 years worth of losses. Okay? It is free. We are truly distinct and separate from enforcement. We can't tell enforcement who we're working with. The caveat for using the service is that you agree that anything we suggest to you that enforcement could have cited you for, you let us know, you tell us you're going to fix it. And anything they could have given you a serious hazard for, okay, that could cause serious injury, illness, or a fatality, we ask that you get back to us in writing. So we give you a little form to fill out. The non-serious, you just let us know that you're going to fix those things out of the goodness of your heart, right? So it's kind of a cooperative compliance way of working with Cal OSHA. Any employers in here use the consultation service? Okay. Good, bad? Good? Very good? Okay. It's a good, I believe it's a good, another set of eyes just to come in and sort of assist you, maybe able to update you with maybe if there's been changes in the regulations, those kinds of things, keep you up to speed. Okay, so that's the minimum on the service. If you might be interested in using the service, our Fresno office services Kern County. So if you're down this way, the Fresno office also services Santa Maria up to about Watsonville. So they have the middle part of the state. So you can see you've got the number here, okay, on the slide for Fresno. Okay, we have other offices throughout the state. If you want to ask questions, right, you don't necessarily want us on site, you just have a question, you can call one of our offices and ask your question. Should get a response back no later than close of business the next day, is sort of what our policy is. Okay, we have an 800 number here as well. And then we've got an email address at our website under consultation. It's called InfoCons, and you can ask questions via email as well. Okay, so there's lots of options there in terms of getting assistance.